Sensitivity is the basis of all virtues, as well as the basis of enlightenment to realize the supreme bliss of Nirvana within oneself. The path to enlightenment is being virtuous. As I mentioned earlier, the basis of all virtues is sensitivity. When one is sensitive, one can do no harm to others. One can be benevolent to all others, harming nobody. If somebody is harmed, a sensitive person immediately comes to his rescue, being helpful, that is, being kind-hearted. And a sensitive person is a virtuous person, and virtuous person is a person who is friendly to all people, love indiscriminately. Equality, equal treatment to all, and he is a real friend. A friend in need is a friend indeed, there is a saying in English. And he is out to help others who are in need of help, and that happens automatically, expecting nothing in return, but just enjoying being good to somebody, being helpful to somebody. That is the nature of sensitivity. And that, as I mentioned earlier, sensitive persons are virtuous, noble, helpful, friendly, kind-hearted, friendly, patient, polite. These are all virtues that gets opened up along with sensitivity. In fact, enlightenment is the opening of oneself into the supreme bliss of Nirvana within oneself. That is also possible, as I mentioned earlier, by being sensitive to all sensory experiences. And that is called awareness. Awareness is the path to Nirvana. Krishnamurti referred to it as choiceless awareness. Indiscriminately becoming aware of all sensations. Being sensitive to both the good and the bad people alike. That is through understanding. Sensitivity is understanding. Sensitivity is the ability to accept things as they are. Many things may not be to your liking or to your ideal, but that is their nature. And we accept that nature as it is, indiscriminately. And such a person, when he comes across an enlightened person, he can immediately become sensitive to that enlightened nature of that particular person. In the stanza uttered by the Buddha, as recorded in the Balavagga of the Dhammapada, there is a statement made by the Buddha, like this, in a stanza. Muhuttampi che vinyu panditam pairu pasati kippang dhammang vijanati Jivha Suparasayasa. Here the word Vinyu refers to a sensitive person. Muttampiche Vinyu. Even for a second, Pairupasati comes in contact with an enlightened person, a virtuous person. He becomes aware of that virtuous quality of that particular person. He becomes aware of the enlightened nature of that person. That is the Dhamma in him, his nature. Kippan Dhamma Vijanati, immediately. As Jivha Suparasanyata, like the tongue, immediately gets the taste of a soup just by a touch, without wasting time, immediately. That is the nature of the sensitivity. Not only the good nature, the enlightened nature of the person, any nature in any person. When one is highly worried, he becomes sensitive to that worry of that particular person. And he becomes very friendly. He becomes kind-hearted. He becomes benevolent. He becomes compassionate automatically, without thinking, indeliberately. That is the nature of a sensitive person. In fact, what you need in this world full of cruelty and selfishness is sensitivity. If people become more and more sensitive, they become more and more virtuous. And also they become more and more blissful by being friendly to other people, by becoming compassionate, by becoming kind-hearted, by becoming good-natured. You reap the result of your own good nature, the benefit of the good nature. That is the bliss of being virtuous. Being virtuous is blissful. Being cruel is a curse upon yourself. Your own anger can harm you. Your own hatred can harm you, both physically and mentally. And at the same time, your own kindness, your own friendliness, your own altruistic love can be of benefit to yourself as well as to others. Therefore, the benevolent persons are sensitive and sensitive persons are benevolent. And only such sensitive persons can get enlightened according to what the Buddha has stated with regard to enlightenment and the bliss of nirvana realized by enlightenment. The followers of the Buddha use certain wordings of the Buddha to pay respect to the supreme bliss the Buddha realized at the enlightenment. And the person who can realize that bliss is called a sensitive person. And that supreme bliss of nirvana can be realized, according to the Buddha's wording, is only by a sensitive person. Vedi tabbo vinyohi. As I mentioned earlier, in the stanza, Muttampite vinyo panditam pairupasati, Vinju is a sensitive person. Being sensitive means being virtuous, being benevolent, being blissful, being generous, being kind-hearted, being friendly, being polite. That means all virtues are generated by the sensitivity of that particular person. And it is not difficult to be sensitive, to be ever fully. Sensitive means being alert. All your sense organs being alert is called sensitiveness. Then the sense organs can grasp sense objects immediately, without ignorance, without ignoring, and also without liking and disliking. Liking is a selfish activity of the mind. Hatred or disliking is also selfish activity, but a cruel activity. But being friendly is a benevolent activity, benevolent to oneself as well as to others. Therefore, to be blissful, being benevolent to oneself and benevolent to others, first of all, one has to be sensitive through the alertness of all sense organs. That means sense organs are open outwardly. Selfish persons are turned inward, but unselfish, sensitive person is open outward for the good of others. And immediate result is being of good to oneself too. Therefore, the sensitive are good to oneself and to others too. And that is the noblest way of living, living sensitively, living benevolently, living compassionately through sensitivity.